Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
This is Tersh with Service Business Mastery Podcast. Josh is not with us. He's actually over in the EGIA main event. Who is it? Damon John, yeah. But we came over here to do cool stuff with cool kids and record a podcast with, I got Dan Antonelli over here with Kick Charge. I know you've seen his brands around a little bit here and there, and they're very, you can pick them out of a crowd, and they're great stuff, and that's the thing about everything that y'all do over there is to stand out and make sure that you're really standing out from the crowd, and that's awesome. And then we have HVAC Secrets Revealed, Evan Hoffman.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? I've been on their show. Have y'all been on the show before?
No, never.
Why not?
I think there was a lack of an invite.
Oh,
yeah.
Shoot.
Minor detail.
Minor detail.
You just wanted to do it live. You were holding out for this. It's all good.
There we go.
Some contractual negotiations that had taken place.
Something like that, yeah. But I'm super excited to have these two guys on the show today. We talk all the time, and I always ask Dan stuff. He even helped us out with our brand because we were really in a crunch to get the new logo out there, and we needed it for something. I don't even remember what it was, but it was important at the time, and Dan was really backed up, so he was like, here, take a look at this and take a look at that, but super appreciate that. And but today, on today's show, I want to talk obviously about branding, and I mean, he's the guru when it comes to branding, but about the future of the industry, the future of service businesses in general. Dan he's got a magic 8 ball, so he's got it. He knows the future, and I know Evan does too. So I mean, I'm super excited to have both of you guys on the show. But with that being said, for anybody that's listening to this or watching this, could you two guys give a brief background of who you are and where you're from?
So, Dan, you go first, brother.
Sure. I'm Dan Antonelli. I run a design agency called Kick Charge Creative. We're based out of New Jersey, and we do home service branding. So we have a team of about 20 people. We do soup to nuts, everything that's brand related. So we do brand development, we do wrap design, we do print design, and we do digital design. So just 27 years of doing that, and I think at this point we're over 1,500 or so home service brands that we've created.
What made I know a lot of people have this same question. So, like, what made you decide to go the route of the design that's sticking out right now? Like, because that's not something that's been around for 15 years. Or
I think over the years we just started really paying more attention to consumer behavior, really trying to figure out how to get inside their heads, how to think about brands in a way that was more unique and disruptive. And so I'd say over the last probably 8 years or so, we're really kind of honed in on the idea of disruption and how disruption plays such a huge role in branding, especially for home services. So our idea is based around the concept of leveraging that brand at all the different channels, especially the vehicle, which is one of the most critical applications. And we really do see just tremendous results when we can penetrate the psyche of a consumer, because everything that they're conditioned about advertising is conditioned to have them ignore everything you're trying to tell them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's me. I mean, how many times are you advertised to every single day? And so it's like you're just
it's 60,000 pieces of information that you are fed every single day.
Yeah, and my brain is small, so it does not compute. But I mean, like, Chad Bird, he's a buddy of mine. We kind of grew up together in the industry, and y'all just did his, and it's awesome. I mean, he's right down the street from me, but kudos to their whole brand, and so it's really, it sticks out. You know, every time you see his vans ride by, it's definitely there.
And it sticks out in a good way in the sense that, like, it's not just something that's obnoxious. It's something that's still delivering a brand promise to that consumer. And the tagline that goes along with his visual is a peach. Yeah. Obviously, they're from Georgia, so it makes sense. And, we'll give you a peach of a job. The tagline to kind of sell that story and set up the deliverable in the consumer's mind as to what they're going to get if they hire him. But what he had before wasn't horrible. It was
the same red and blue that everybody else has always has.
We call that a bland.
Yeah,
so instead of a brand, it was a bland.
100%.
It was blanded.
Well, and I think something that is super unique about your approach, though, is it's more than just disruption. Right, you can put a pink and purple van out there, and it's going to be disruptive because it's different than what everyone else has.
That's true.
The way that you lay out the brand is so essential on the
clean.
van.
It's very clean. Very clean.
And the logo is central.
Yeah.
It pops. So there's branding that's effective there, but then also the story that you tell afterwards and how you really connect with your customers. I hear it time and time again from every business that has worked with Dan. Everyone says, I'm so impressed with how well he connected to get our message out there beyond just the logo. And I've always been really impressed with that.
Yeah, 100%. And not only that, kudos to your entire team. Mm-hmm. How many of your vans were on it was an HVAC business that, well, how many? I mean, I've seen a bunch of them on there. I was like, dang, I'm not even putting my van on that.
I think we won 30 times so far. So
that's crazy, dude.
We swept the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. One year, somebody ripped off one of our designs, actually, and they won with one of our ripped off designs. So that was kind of interesting. So we still won.
By
That's
default.
Crazy, man. I've seen who is it?
Timo's.
Timo, yeah. And I've seen that design ripped off so many times, and it's like that's like your OG design, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, one of the original ones. That was one of the original winners, actually, for the HVAC business truck tops and trucks contest. But yeah, that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's obviously. So I've seen you post this before, so I feel safe to say it. It's like that imitation is not the largest form of flattery or whatever. It's because you're blatantly ripping off their brand and their product, and that's trademarked too.
Yeah, it's trademark infringement, and it's an expensive lesson to learn when you're on the receiving end of a cease and desist.
100%.
It's just dumb. Just invest in it the right way from the start. And
it doesn't make sense not to. I mean, what would you say to people who are? Because this was a thing for me whenever we first started out. Cash flow was tight. Should I invest the money in creating that brand when I'm really, first off, I don't really know what P&Ls are, or I don't really know how to manage money and stuff. Like, I'm a service guy that is doing really good to charge $75 an hour or whatever the case may be. At that point, should they rebrand? Because I would hate to have 12 vans, because like Fred Kennedy, that's where I grew up. That's where Chad and I grew up together. I mean, he had a whole fleet of vans that he's rebranding now through Kit Charge.
Yeah, so that's the kind of the quandary, right? 'Cause you can go out and start and bootstrap it as best you can, and then at a certain point down the road, you're going to wind up having to redo all those things.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it more expensive at that point? Well, yeah, it kind of is more expensive at that point, but I understand that as a brand new startup, you may not have the budget to do it right. So it's almost like, well, don't wrap the trucks fully. Maybe
that's
just
a good point.
Vinyl lettering just to start, just to kind of get your name out, and then save the money to do it. But we always like when you have the opportunity to do it from scratch, from the ground up, because we know everything after that point is going to be on brand.
Yeah, I mean, we have stuff that just pops up every now and then that has our old logos and stuff on it, and it's like, I don't want to throw it away, but if I handed this out, people would be so confused, you know? Like, just throw it in the trash. It's not even worth anything.
So there's like a funny saying that, we say it is the most expensive logo you'll ever pay or buy is the one you paid the least for.
It's true. So
kind of
you
makes
get
sense
on Upworks or whatever, and
Fiverr and 99 designs, they're all
yep, 100%. Yeah. So who was it that asked, I can't read who it was that said.
A Facebook user.
A Facebook user asked, who's this guy sitting next to Tersh? Which side? Because I'm in the middle. So I got Dan to my left over here, and then Evan's over here to my right. And Evan, now you share a little bit about you, who you are, where you from.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Josh decided to stay in the event, but really what it is we can't have too many marketing minds at the same table at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's would have been a lot, huh?
So I'm just the better looking replacement for Josh. No, I'm Evan. I'm with On Purpose Media. So we run a marketing agency. And when we have some spare time on Wednesday afternoons, we drink whiskey and shoot the shit. And we have some fun with our podcast, HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. So
yeah, you have to check them out. Now, where are y'all published? Because I see, I follow you on YouTube. Where do you publish on any of the podcast catchers or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's on everywhere you can get your podcasts. We're a little behind on those edits right now with the audio edits, but we do go live every week with YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn too now, and yeah, we're all over the place.
The editing part of doing podcasts, like this part right here, can be overwhelming, like when you're first starting a podcast, like getting guests on the show and like how are we going to brand this and all this other stuff. But then after you start getting it rolling, I got like 65 episodes that need to be edited. Right. It's like, oh my gosh, like I gotta find time to do this. But yeah, it's definitely fun to do and rewarding. What would you say for y'all in the podcast? What would you say is like one of your biggest, not definitely not ROI, but like your benefit from it, from doing podcasts in general?
Well, I'll give you two perspectives. One, from our perspective, it's connecting with people, and now there's a reputation that's put out there. So that when we're meeting people at these events or we're just walking around and I got my hat on, people are coming up and saying, hey, I watch your show. Yeah. And it's really cool.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
It's crazy because they're like, so how are your kids? And I'm like, who are you?
Right? Where did you stalk me from? Yeah, so that's really cool from that perspective. And it's fun and it's entertaining, but it's also made, the connections that we've made have been so much more impactful, and we can get deeper quicker because they do feel like they know me, and there's that barrier of trust is let down a little bit more.
True, very true.
And so now we can have some real conversations and get right into the weeds of what issues they have. Are we a good fit to solve it, or is someone else a better fit to solve it? And so that's a huge benefit from that perspective. From an HVAC or service business perspective of putting out a podcast, the value really comes in the traffic that can come back to your website. Right. And
so would you say they need to have a lot of HVAC specific content in order for that to be the case?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Because like us, we try not to generate a lot of traffic to our site per se,
right?
Because they're not the same.
No.
We talk a lot more business than we do HVAC.
Totally. No, and the layout of this show is very much how do we give back to the industry? How do we contribute? And you've done a phenomenal job with that. And I really want to acknowledge the fact that what you have done for the industry it's a gift. And the time that you put in and the energy that you put into this has been phenomenal. And the amount that you give back is tremendous.
Here's that $20.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, buddy. But when it comes to a local business, what's the benefit of it? Where does the ROI come in for them? Well, if you put out a show and it's 15, 20 minutes of long form content that you put out on a weekly basis.
And you transcribe it.
You transcribe it. Now we put it into a blog. So now you're on YouTube, you're on a podcast networks, and you've got a blog post that goes out that's transcribed. 10 minutes is going to be about 1,000 words, 15 minutes, about 1,500 words, which is a good sized blog post. From there, now we're also cutting it up and making micro videos. So now you've got your Facebook post for the week, your Instagram post for the week, and you've created 3 to 5 pieces of content from that. So from one recording, one 15-minute video that you took the time to do, you've now duplicated it out over multiple different media streams. Because, our belief is, who are we to decide how your consumer should receive your content?
That's a good point, yeah. Obviously, if you only put it out one place, they can only consume it one way, but is that what you want? Is it going to be like a nope, you can't see us anywhere else. Like,
right.
And that's basically what you're telling them if you do that. Dan, have you had any of your, like, have you experienced the podcast world and doing podcasts? And
I'm just overwhelmed with all the work that goes into it. So I've done a couple of things to some channels, because like I run a Facebook page for actually wrap design, where I'm trying to teach other people how to be better wrap designers. And I've done a couple of things on that, but the amount of time that it takes to produce the stuff and then to do all the other things to get it out there is just it overwhelms me to think about that. Like I think about my personal Facebook post and things like that, and what I have to do to just get those things out, and then it's like, well, now I'm going to add another layer of stuff that I'm responsible for, and it's scary. But like, I think you make a great point at just how much all this content does help. I mean, I have a social media person who does Kickcharge's social media, but she's always asking me hey, you should do some more live stuff. Everyone loves when you go live. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I should do a lot of things, but doing the best I can.
and that's the real world for a lot of business owners in general. It's like, man, I'm trying to put out fires over here, and you want me to create an Instagram post?
Yeah.
It's like, at what point, I guess, Evan, what point would you hire someone to do your social media stuff? Dan, when did you, I mean, what made you decide to do it?
I mean, it was a mix. It was a mix of client needs, because we run the social media campaigns for a lot of clients, and then it was a mix of doing our stuff. But our social media person, Kim, she's been with us, I think it's like 7 or 8 years now.
Do you have to hire somebody full time?
Yeah, she was full time from the beginning, and I mean, she's been great. So she's kind of the voice of who we are, and but it, you know, even now combining client work with Kickcharge work, and it's like, well, who takes precedence? You know?
That's a good point. Yeah,
What do you got to focus on? Well, we focus on the people who are paying our bills first, and then we try to get to our own stuff afterwards.
Yeah. So we have a Facebook user here asked, the more brands Dan does, is there ever concern that his designs will become the noise? It's already super recognizable that he designs it.
Yeah, and that's a great question. I think that you have to remember that when people view our work, especially people that are fans of our work, you have to realize that our work is across the country. They're not concentrated in one geographic region or specific region. And we're always very conscious of the approaches that we're using in any given market. So that's part of the initial research that we do. Is who is in this market? Have we done anything in this market? Obviously, right? Because I'm not going to put the same strategy or the same colors or the same approach in any given market. I'm going to make sure, because that would dilute the effects for both brands that we're trying to create, or that one that we have already created and the new one that's coming on board.
And that'd be right for a ticked off customer.
Yeah, exactly. So we're very cognizant of approaches and strategies that we use, and strategies are dictated by competitive landscape, among other things, and the goals of the particular company. So it's not always that, hey, we need to do a retro mascot. You know, well, maybe we need to do clean and corporate. Like, it really depends on a lot of factors. It depends on, you know, who they're trying to reach, what their goals are, things like that. So we're always just making sure that we're really thinking about brands as differently as we can, and just trying to make sure we're not duplicating exact same strategies in any given market. So, but it's a big market. But again, when people follow us and they see that we're doing 2 or 3 or 4 a week coming out, there's going to be some commonality in terms of our theory about brand and our theory about disruption. But there's so many awful brands in most given markets that I think that still plays in our favor.
How would you say, how do you decide the size of the market before, like, okay, it's acceptable to have another brand here in this market, like Kickcharge style, like the retro style that you're kind of known for?
Again, like, if I have someone and they come up in the competitive research from our new client and saying, hey, we compete against this particular company, then I'm just not going to do anything that can be remotely confused with them. You know, so if it's a nostalgic based retro mascot, we're not going to do nostalgia, and we're not going to do probably a mascot either. You know, we're going to think about it doing something, maybe it's icon based, maybe it's based on their initials.
Okay. So you have some brands out there that are less like the peach, or
absolutely, and that's all. That again just really depends on market. Depends on what they want the image to be and what the story they want to tell with their brand.
Because I feel like there at some point it's like, man, I can't think of nothing else. Like, I hadn't thought of it all.
It's hard. I mean, honestly, that's the hardest part of our job, is trying to, constantly be fresh and constantly think about different ways that we can do it. There is a finite number of ways that I can show a mascot holding a wrench.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right. So, but how do we do it? Like, what's the rest of the wrap design? What's the rest of the story that we wrap around? How does tagline interact with the story that we're telling? And so we're just trying to think more holistically, not just it's a cool logo and it's a cool mascot. It's how does everything work in a story for this company, and how do we make sure every single touch point is delivering that story?
So have you had a so you're building this story and this the entire culture of the business around this new brand. Have you ever had a situation where the brand, like the owner just was like, nah, not going to work. Like, I'm not going to put forth the effort to follow through with this. And like, you spent the time to build this really cool brand, but then there's no follow up with the brand. And
so if you're asking, like, have we ever had a client not want to proceed after we've pitched creative and said this?
No,
is
I mean, like they proceed a little bit, but then they
go into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we certainly have had scenarios where they're like, oh, we just want you to do the logo and the vehicle, and then that's it. And the sad part of that,
I feel like that's not enough. Like,
yeah. The sad part is then we haven't leveraged what we just built. We haven't used it to its potential. So I hate to see that. I hate to see like a beautiful
so
brand,
much potential,
and then a generic website. And the content on the website is generic, and literally it could be the same content for your biggest competitor, and it would read exactly the same. Like so when I see stuff like that, and it's more than just, hey, let's put your logo on the top and let's change the button colors, and now you're branded.
Yes, done.
And it's just like,
check
it's
that
sad.
one off.
It's sad. Like, we went through this whole exercise on trying to craft a story, and now we're going to go generic for everything else, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, 100%.
But it happens. I mean, it certainly happens. We can't do everything for every single client. We'd love to, but it just, sometimes it just doesn't work out that we can help them with some of these other channels. Yeah,
100%. So Ron Davis, really close friend of mine, he said huge shout out to Dan.
Ron's killing in South Jersey.
Oh yeah. Yep. Him and his brother. John, they also he sees the Evans here, so he's going to go pour him some bourbon. So he's used to Evans' show that he gets drunk on. That
I was going to say, where's the bourbon? We're on the wrong show. I forgot.
We're on the wrong show. Yeah,
we keep it sober on this one.
But Ron's a good example of a company that, again, color plays a big role in what makes his brand so special.
Yeah,
so
and that's really like I never would have picked his colors. Like when you see it's like the burgundy and the brown, and it works perfect, and it looks amazing. But if you would have asked me for a color palette, that would not have been it.
Yeah, and that's a big part of, again, like even if you think about similar approaches, but it's like colors is such a big deal as well. And we're always just looking at colors that in theory and on paper should never be put together.
Yeah. And
those are the ones we want to put together.
Really?
Because then they're ownable. That's why red and blue don't work.
Exactly.
Because we got Americana associated with red and blue. You've got a million HVAC companies associated with red and blue. So I don't want to put a red and blue brand out into any given market if I can avoid it, because I can't own those colors. I can't say every time I see that blue van, I know that's yours. Like, bullshit.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that would be tough for sure.
So
we had another question too, and that was kind of Evan was asking this too about the future of the industry, and I guess both of you, I'd like to hear what y'all think about the future of HVAC and home service industry is.
Totally. Well, and I think a big part of it is exactly what Dan's talking about when it comes to brand, because brand is going to be vitally important, and I'll let you go deep on that. But I mean, branding lets all of your other marketing efforts get cheaper, right?
What do you mean by that?
When you've got a memorable brand, right? People are searching you; they're not searching for the service, right? Because they remembered who it is that they're supposed to be connecting with.
What if they remember our icon? What if they remember the peach, but they don't know the name? Like Is that? I mean, I would imagine that can be a challenge.
Totally. So I would build content on the website that talks about the peach specifically and beating the heating company with the peach.
Yeah.
Right, and I would make sure that content exists on the site in multiple different places, so that keyword's going to get pulled when it comes up, whether it's a blog post, whether it's the homepage, as long as it shows up for the site, then that's absolutely something I would build in.
So you feel like branding is the future of?
I feel like it's a vital component of it, absolutely. I also feel like content creation is vitally important. Especially as we move towards an era of voice search being so predominant in homes. I mean, it's a lot easier to go to your
Alexa or whatever.
Device, Alexa, exactly, Google Home, and say, hey, I need an AC company. And it pulls up the one company. So now you went from a Google search where it was 4 or 5 ads being served, plus the local service ads at the top of 3 businesses there, 3 businesses in the map pack, and another 10 in the organic search. Now it's boiled down to one business.
So does the transcription from creating a podcast help with that?
Absolutely, it does.
Because you're talking in normal talk.
Yep.
So I shouldn't clean up a transcription.
No, the written word, as far as like going on a blog post, yes, clean it up. As far as the transcription that goes on to, your Spotify or something like that, yeah, keep that.
Oh, okay.
natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I also think that it helps in, again, furthering that brand in the market, because you're putting out your voice, and now that matters. You're making a difference. Expert. You're adding more value. You are the expert in the area, right? And you're going to get all the natural traffic that's going to come back to your site, because when you are national with content, whether that's a blog post or your YouTube video or something like that, people are naturally coming back to your website to then read that blog post.
You get some domain authority.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's one of them big words that I don't really know what it means, but I stuck it in there, hoping for the best. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
To your point too, I think Roy Williams, who is from the Wizard of Ads, had this. He wrote in this book.
Oh yeah.
Overspending on marketing is the tax you pay for being unremarkable.
Yeah.
Right. And when you boil it all down, that's the reality. So, when you see some of the numbers people talk about as far as how much they need to spend on advertising, a lot of it is because they have an unremarkable brand. So the more generic, the more bland you are, the more money it's going to cost you to get sticky in somebody's head.
Yep.
So we want our clients to spend the least amount of money possible. Like, I feel like sometimes we're the only marketing agency ever to say we want you to spend less money, not more money with us, right? But that's the whole idea. So like branded search has become such a big deal as far as the strategy for, getting more leads from the digital channels, because I'd rather someone type in the name of the company and know we're going to show up number one for our branded name, rather than, Heating Repair Georgia, and then hope that my organic efforts has me number one. Well, we may not be number one on that, but I know we're going to be number one for branded searches. So
good point.
Hammering home that brand and that brand-centric approach, especially when it comes to the vehicles.
Oh, so let me ask you on this: how many times have you seen a competitor really ranking high for this brand's stuff? Like I see it in pay-per-click all the time.
Pay-per-click, I mean, certainly that's a defensive strategy, which I think is, if I'm being honest, I think it's just a dick move.
It is 100%.
Maybe from a digital marketing perspective, like you guys might think that that's something you should do, but I just think
I used to get so mad whenever I'd see like how many times I was paying for clicks to my own brand name, and they're like, you got to do it because all your competitors are doing your name too. I'm like, man, what a jerk.
There's a really big competitor in the digital marketing space that bought all of our keywords once.
Oh man, that sucks.
And I was on some level, I was almost like flattered. I'm like, you guys are worried about me?
Yeah.
Little us, you guys are buying all my keywords, and I'm like, well, no one's going to get confused with you and us, so have at it.
Yeah.
And then I just told all my employees to click on it, but I
click away, have fun.
I think the other thing that gets missed too when it comes to the brand is the recruiting aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because yes, it makes your marketing more
true,
more affordable, but it also helps with retention.
Yeah.
And it helps attract more people because it looks like you are a more formidable brand in the market.
Stable.
stable. There's less risk here. I'm going to go work for them instead. And that was actually a conversation I had this week with a potential client or business owner.
And that's what you see. You see these guys saying, oh my God, I can't get anybody to work for me. And then listen, I know the labor market is super tough.
It's very tough.
But sometimes you look at, well, what are they giving their employees? What does the brand look like? Are they going to be proud to wear a uniform or get in that truck? And it's like you can't get there with it, And I'm like, well, that's part of the problem, right? Is do you look like a place that people want to work, right? So being introspective and looking at it yourself and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe that logo that we had for 25 years is kind of dated, and But who's going to tell you that, right? Your employee's going to tell you your logo sucks. Your wife's going to tell you. Your husband's going to tell you. Nobody's going to tell you.
Well, it depends on the culture that you built in your organization. If you put it in a place where it's comfortable to have those conversations, then
but for a lot of employees, that also represents a warm blanket. And they're afraid of change, and they don't want to change. So many of our clients that we've rebranded, before they were announcing that they were rebranding to employees, I was like, well, why are we changing? Why are we changing?
The comfort level there.
So
we've had interviews. We do a lot of virtual interviews and hiring events, and we've had people come on the show. I call it's on the Zoom. So, and they'll come on and say, "Man, I've been following y'all along. Y'all look like a fun place to work." Like, and I'm like, "Y'all are stalker." Like, you've been watching it. He's like, "Yeah, man, I seen y'all did this event over here, and y'all did this over there," and they just recognize our brand, and every time that we were doing something, it was instant. As soon as we had the job out there, they applied for it, wanting to work with us.
Absolutely.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, it's really powerful.
Tooting my own horn over here.
Not a boy.
Toot toot. Yeah, man. So there's so much that we could be talking about here, but we have a whole lot of stuff going on here. How do people connect with each of you and follow you along the way? Dan?
So, our website is just kickcharge.com, KICK charge.com, and I'm Dan at kickcharge.com.
And how long is your backlog if somebody wanted to what's the process, the timeline take to rebrand if they want to do that?
Right now we're booked out almost 3 months to start. But once we start, a typical rollout, depending on how many assets are going to be part of that rollout, could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months to, get the new brand, get the new truck, get the new website, all those different things.
How many vans have wheels matching the Instagram stories that I see? Because I'm like, I'll drive that thing around.
There's a few. There's 2 recent ones that we did for Element Air in Louisville. And another one that we just did for Clog Wizard in Delaware. That we had mocked it up with the purple rims. Some of the 3D rendering software allows us to change rim colors and stuff, and we were like, oh, this looks badass. And we didn't think like anybody was going to do it, and both clients did it. So it's really awesome. kind of fun, because that's just taking it to the next level.
It is.
And there's another nostalgic client that we did the branding for, Atlas Plumbing in Vegas. Actually, if you Google it, you could see they have a Chevy Express where they put the white wall tires on the van, and it just looks so cool. Like, it's, again, just taking it to that next level. It's kind of fun when we have clients that go all out like that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
When are you going to get a client that puts the spinner rims on the van? Just kidding.
I'll do it.
I'm Evan Hoffman. You can find me on Facebook. HVAC Success Secrets Revealed is our Facebook group. And so we've got a group as well as the show. So you can check us out in both places there. Or the website is onpurposemedia.ca, because we are from Canada, eh?
Yay! So, and y'all record every Wednesday afternoon live.
Yeah, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Mountain.
What's that
live
Eastern, show. The normal time zone?
4
the normal time zone. What was it, 2?
Yeah.
2 their time.
2 Mountain, 1 Pacific.
It is the normal time zone.
I'm kidding.
As usual, the world revolves around the East.
It does. I appreciate everybody. We had some technical glitches on the live stream Wi-Fi here was kind of sketchy for a second. But I appreciate everybody that's on here and sticking it out to the end. If anybody has any questions at all, I'll put both these guys' contact information in the show notes, and make sure you join their group too. It's really cool, and they're super active, and all the time questions are answered and asked and stuff. So super thankful that y'all would come and hang out with me for a little bit. I'll give you $20 here in a minute.
Sweet.
Paying y'all to sit with me.
I appreciate you,
y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll talk again soon. See ya.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.